The four intimacies, we have four pillars in every relationship, whether it's platonic or intimate. There's four pillars: time, trust, communication, and reciprocity. Okay, so like you can use this to diagnose any relationship. If a relationship feels off, we go through the pillars and we try to rank them on a scale of 1 to 10.
My guests today are Dr. Amy and Roy Clark, authors of The Four Intimacies. They work together as a husband and wife team, using strategies to affect change in the lives of their clients who want to be intimate, verbally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. They provide coaching and resources to teach what intimacy means and how couples can experience it in their relationships. Roy and Amy both experienced broken marriages, so I was especially interested in talking to them about what it takes to make a marriage better. Links to their resources, along with other resources, are included in the episode notes. Let's get right into the conversation.
Welcome to The Recovery Room, a podcast presented by affairhealing.com.
In this healing place, in this healing place.
I want to start with you just telling us a little bit about what you do and why you do it. I know you have a story. I've got a story too. It informs what we do. You can assume that there'll be a number of people listening to this that haven't heard about you before, not sure what you do. So give us some information about that.
So I was previously married before Roy, and I was married for 12 years, and it was not a good marriage. It was very lonely, and I felt like I was doing the marriage by myself, and I was in counseling throughout the entire marriage by myself, and I couldn't convince him to go. And so I did convince him to go to small groups at church. And so we did a couple years of small groups. And then I felt this tug on my heart to actually lead the class, to give it back. And so as I was leading these small groups and working with marriages, it just became a passion for me. And I thought, I think I want to go back to school and study this. And so I went back to school. I ended up earning my doctorate degree. And the whole time, I think I was really trying to save my first marriage. And it wasn't savable. You can't do a marriage by yourself. And so I got my degree. I went into a private practice, and now we work with a lot of marriages. And I was concerned, like, oh gosh, is anyone going to take marriage advice from somebody who's divorced?
Been there, done that.
I feel like I know both sides of the coin. I know how sad and lonely they are. I know what it feels like to be cheated on. And I also know what it's like and what it takes to have an incredible marriage.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my background.
Yeah. And so I was a pastor for 10 years. Youth and family was my gig, my first 10 years of my career. And then from there, I broke off and just became an entrepreneur. But through all those years, kept counseling people, kept coaching people. And our heartbeat, both of us, is for relationships. Like Amy was married previously, invited my then wife to go to counseling. She was not interested. And so without, once again, that reciprocity in a relationship, it just died. Met Amy. She's got this private practice, and I had done some business coaching. I asked if she needed a little business coaching. I had a son who needed some counseling. We did some trading for a little bit, a little counseling bartering going on, a little coaching, counseling bartering. And she said, we should work together. And I thought, you are crazy. You are so beautiful. I won't be able to get any work done. But long story short, we developed a friendship. We fell in love. And I eventually did join the practice. And so we do get a lot of work done as well. I mean, I know listeners are probably wondering. So yes, we do get work done.
Your work is unique in the sense that you're doing this together as a team. I assume there are times that each of you is working individually with a client, but there are a number of things you do as a couple as well in the services you provide.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we won't do marriage counseling without the two of us. It's just kind of our new standard. And it has worked so effectively. Now we do individuals, of course. In fact, a couple that just left, I said, hey, individuals next week. And he goes, yep, that's exactly it. And so he and I will meet, and then we'll come back another week, and then the four of us will be there. And Amy will meet with the wife.
What prompted you to make that change, that focus, to say the only way we're going to work with couples is if we do it together as a couple?
Yeah.
It was just so much more effective. I mean, it was during COVID was the first time when we were all forced to work from home. And I'm on this call with a young couple, and I needed to address the guy. And I was like, he's just not going to receive this. He's going to say, oh, just two girls teaming up on me. And I'm sitting there looking, I can see Roy out of the corner of my eye across the house. I'm like, I've got this brilliantly gifted counselor sitting like 50 feet away from me. And I was like, I'm going to call an audible here. I was like, guys, feel free to say no. But I said, my husband is a brilliant counselor. Do you mind if he joins us on this call? And the guy was like, yeah, like he wanted another guy in the room.
Yeah.
And Roy came in, brought him up to speed, and he delivered exactly what I was going to say, and it was received. And I was like, that was awesome. And then the next day, I was like, same thing. And I go, do you guys mind? And they said, sure. And I thought, this is just the way to do it. It's not two girls and one guy, or
two guys want to go.
Right.
You know, and that to say that this is the only way we do it, it's just the way we present it. And people are like, yeah. In fact, some couples have heard about us. They're like, yeah, we heard that you guys do it that way. That's why we're here. So we've never had to force a couple, that's for sure.
No.
But it's always been, hey, here's how we do it. It's more effective. You get 2 points of view, and they're all like, wait a minute. We pay the same rate. Yeah, you pay the same rate and you get twice as many counselors. Okay, good. Yeah, we want that. And so having those two perspectives has been incredibly effective.
And I think a large part of what we do with couples is that they actually listen to Roy and I dialogue with each other. And there's sometimes I have a different perspective than Roy. And I'll say, babe, can I push on that? Or can I share a different perspective? And they watch us respectfully disagree with each other. And so they just pick up on the dialect between us.
I think it's funny because, you know, here we are in counseling. We're supposed to have all the answers. And apparently I got the answer wrong. And Amy's like, hey, can I correct you? No. So she says, can I coach on that? Absolutely. You can see the couples kind of going, oh, dang, Roy got in trouble. You know, it's kind of funny, right? Because I'm like, babe, can I try something? Or can I offer something else? And they lean in. They're like, oh, here they go. How's this going to happen?
We're like, yeah, this is how we fight.
Right, exactly. And so they get to see this dialogue. Or we'll say to them, hey, Bob, can I show you how this would sound? And he's like, well, yeah, sure, darling. And then I'll say the sentence. I actually had one guy, first time in 30 years, 2 weeks ago, he goes, that sounds corny. You want me to sound corny? I go, yeah.
Yeah,
I want you.
That's what it takes.
And he looks to his wife and he goes, do you really want me to sound like that? She goes, will you please sound like that?
So you guys both have had experience of being in marriages that I'm sure started with all kinds of hope and promise, but ended up being very unfulfilling with an unwillingness, you know, with partners to kind of work on it. You find each other, fall in love, you get married, and then start this practice to help other couples learn what you learned through your own experience.
Yeah.
I wonder, you know, every relationship, every marriage, including yours, goes through difficulties. And, you know, there's some days you really don't agree with each other.
Sure.
How do you keep your relationship fresh? How do you put into practice the things that you're teaching other couples? And I know it's not easy. I know it just because you teach it, but yeah, it's just easy. Sometimes it's difficult. So how do you keep yourself true to these things?
We have a lot of disciplines in our relationship. I think one of the first ones that comes to mind is we wake up early every day and we have coffee in bed. So the first 30 minutes of every day is either in bed, cuddling and having our coffee, or in the hot tub. And so we give each other the first fruits of the day. And so we always start the day with some quality time. And then we digest everything together. Like at the end of the day, we will sit in the library, no phones, no TV, and we just sit there and process the day. And so we have two very big chunks of quality time together each day.
Yeah.
And then we have a shared mission. So that's what we call spiritual intimacy, is like our why, like what we do, a shared vision is how we connect in something bigger than ourselves.
Yeah. The other thing I can hear us saying is when it does get tense between us, we'll say to each other, well, I think this is how we would coach our clients. And it's just that matter of a fact, like, hey, I think we're getting off the rails here. This is how we would coach our clients. Let's just do that. And
yeah,
that's just one of those things where it's like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I love both at the beginning of your day and near the end of your day being very intentional in the way that you find connection with each other. Instead of just assuming like, well, we know how to do this. We help other people do it and just hoping it sticks. We have to be intentional about this stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And so our book is called The Four Intimacies, right? So verbal, emotional, physical, spiritual. We are very intentional about verbal intimacy. Like that is our priority. How do we communicate with each other? And for us, it is majority questions. I am truly just trying to understand where she's at, what kind of day did she have? What was it like with that client? What's it like with our daughter? You know, when you went and did this, and there's just this exploring each other. And so that leads into the emotional connection, because what I'm looking for is, how does she feel more than anything? What does she feel about our daughter? How does she feel about the job she did? How does she feel about the day? From there, then we're very intentional about our physical intimacy. We talk about it on a regular basis. We make love on a regular basis. And these are just things that they're enjoyable. Talking is enjoyable. Connecting emotionally is enjoyable. Physical intimacy is enjoyable. But even when it's feeling blah, we still do it. We talk about it. We connect. And then we even we'll cuddle on purpose. We'll make love on purpose. And then our spiritual is the culmination of all three. We are intentional about these conversations that we have about our why, about our God, about our faith, about the mystery of it all. Those are the pillars that we pursue to make it work.
Well, we don't let our feelings drive us, I would say.
Right.
Feelings are important, but they shouldn't be in charge.
Yeah.
Well, I know you, like me, are focused on wanting to help people move towards healing. And we love it when that process results in the healing of a relationship too, which can be best accomplished if both people are engaged in the process. And so changes happen within a marriage or relationship. I was particularly curious to talk to you about how you go about helping a client who feels stuck in a broken relationship, feels trapped in a marriage that just doesn't seem to be going anywhere. And maybe we could start, my audience is coming from an infidelity perspective. So I'd like to consider this question from their experience. And maybe we can start with that person who's been betrayed.
Yeah.
They find out about an infidelity, and let's assume the affair isn't going on. Well, we won't make it that bad. Let's say the person, confesses, yeah, I did that thing. I'm sorry. I won't do it again. And they make minimal effort to kind of get over the hump. But then that person who betrayed really isn't investing in making any changes. And they just say, let's move on, forgive and forget. But patterns continue, insecurities remain, the lack of intimacy and connection is never dealt with. And so that person that was betrayed, and they can say, well, they said they'd stop doing it, but man, I don't feel any closer, better, or able to trust this person than before. How do we help that person heal?
I think what I was going to say was like the four intimacies, we have four pillars in every relationship, whether it's platonic or intimate. There's four pillars: time, trust, communication, and reciprocity. Okay, so like you can use this to diagnose any relationship. If a relationship feels off, we go through the pillars and we try to rank them on a scale of 1 to 10. Like, oh, my partner doesn't spend any time with me. Okay, that's a major problem. I communicate to them, they don't communicate back. Okay, Trust is obviously broken, and that's a really tough leg to rebuild. It takes double the amount of effort after trust has been broken.
Yeah.
And then reciprocity, it's like the relationship you just described. It doesn't sound like there's much reciprocity. One person showing up, trying, and the other one isn't.
Mm-hmm.
So by the definition, there is not a relationship. That's why you feel awful.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to have a relationship with this person, we need to rebuild the 3 legs in the seat. You can't do that by yourself.
So what would you say to the person that says, yeah, all that sounds great. That's what I want. I've with a spouse who doesn't seem to, to this point, be willing to engage and join me in those things. Are there things you can help that person understand or encourage them to do that may make the invitation to a partner maybe more appealing, or what would you tell them?
I usually tell them to make sure that their side of the fence is totally clean. You want to make sure, because by the time that you've dealt with somebody who's been disengaged for a while, I'm pretty sure that their tone is clipped and, they have some resentment built up. And so you want to make sure that you're doing everything that you're expecting your partner to do back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You can't use the excuse, I'm just mad because he hasn't done it for 5 years. No, clean it up. Make sure that you're being very clear about what you want, ask for it, and then do it yourself. And when you're 100% certain that, okay, I know that I'm bringing to the table everything that I'm expecting this person to give, I've been crystal clear, I've let them know that I'm not happy, and that if things don't change I usually tell people to give a certain period of time. Like if you're not willing to go to counseling, like that says something to me. But I would encourage that person to go to counseling themselves, and because even if it's the right decision, it's the hardest decision ever to leave.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe, I don't know your particular backgrounds, but you come from faith backgrounds, church backgrounds. And I know in the background that I was raised in, there was a permanence to marriage. And it seemed like the only way to break that was if one person cheated. Like that was the breaking of the vow. It was as if that's the only thing that breaks the vow. And yet I go back and I look at the things we promise one another. And, if you get to a place in a marriage where one person is none of us loves perfectly, but one person's doing their best. The ways I promised to love you, I want to keep working on those things. I want to get better. And the other person's sitting there going, yeah, well, great, but they're not doing anything. I mean, that's the breaking of the promises too.
We didn't promise to stick around forever.
Yeah.
We promised to love you. I promise to love you in sickness and in health. Okay. Well, if the other person stopped loving, then they've been abandoned. And the scripture does talk about being abandoned as a release of a marriage. The fact is, there is no relationship. And so you asked, how does that person heal? Well, I completely agree with Amy in that, yes, you clean up your side of the fence. But a relationship requires reciprocity. And if you're not receiving and you're just giving, you're going to have to slow down the giving. You're going to have to say to yourself, this isn't working. Okay. So I am now, for the next amount of time, I'm not going to give. I've given all year. There was no reciprocity. I've made it clear in my requests, in my understanding of what it means to have a great relationship. I brought that to you. We need to spend more time together. We need to communicate more. These are basics, right? But they are essential elements of a relationship. Well, time, trust, communication, and reciprocity. If eventually you're not getting the reciprocity at all, then you need to stop giving and heal. And like Amy said, see a counselor, let's talk to a pastor, whatever, but know that you're not going to be able to heal if you keep giving and nobody's there giving back to you.
That can feel like a threat. I mean, to say, well, if you're not giving to me, then I stand back. I'm not giving to you either. I doubt that's the attitude that you're presenting.
No, but I would say, right, hey, you can have a good conversation about what is desired, what's expected. I mean, hopefully you sat down before you got married and said, hey, here's kind of what I expect out of a marriage.
Well, I think that's kind of what a trial separation means. And for me, the trial separation is the wake up call. That's kind of like the last, like, I did that in my first marriage. I said, I want you to start sleeping in the guest room, because it was like, you need a pattern interrupt.
Mm-hmm.
If you just, because he thought it was great.
Yeah.
He was like, you don't have any problems.
Yeah.
Because I do everything for you. That you don't have any problems. I do.
Yeah.
And so I asked him to start sleeping in the guest bedroom to see if that would wake him up. And then spent 5 months doing that with no change, with no desire to come to counseling. I was like, I'm going to counseling. Will you come with me? Nope. I don't need counseling. You need counseling. And then after that 5 months, and there was no behavior change, we tell people behavior tells the truth.
Yeah.
Don't tell me, show me.
Yeah.
And so after 5 months, then it was like, okay, I'm filing for
Yeah. So that separation was actually a kind of loving setting of boundaries to say, I'm not willing to do it one-sided anymore. I would love to do it better with you.
Yeah.
And it was almost an invitation. Are you going to join me in this or not? 5 months later, they weren't willing to join you. And then you have to make a decision about.
I love how you said that, Tim. That was excellent. You're inviting them into this new way of doing a relationship.
Yeah. I mean, that's the difference between, I think, insisting you better change or in saying, well, this is the way I want to be loved. This is the way we promised to love each other. I want to do my part, but inviting them to join or not, and then having to make your choices on the other side. Yeah. I love, Amy, how you said that, because the person that's facing that unsatisfying relationship, I mean, the tendency can be just to blame, to threaten, to try to manipulate to get what they want. And you both made the comment about making sure things on your own side of the fence is good. Sometimes that's hard to step back and be humble enough to say, wait, am I doing the right thing? Is there things that I can pay attention to grow, to love better, and to be willing to do that? That's kind of a vulnerable stance when you're not satisfied in a relationship, but to start there, invite them to join you and see what happens.
Yeah.
Let's turn to the other side, because I think this can be maybe a little bit more complicated. What about the person that had an affair and it comes out, they go through the process of, confessing, and I'm going to do better. And they really are working on change. They're trying to learn what they need to learn from their failure. They want to learn to love better. They want to be a better partner in their relationship, in their marriage. And yet things on the other side are not shifting or changing. I had a session earlier today with someone. It's been 2.5 years since his wife found out about the affair that he'd had 2 years previous to that. So it's been 2.5 years of her knowing about it, of an affair that was 4.5 years ago.
Yeah.
And he said, nothing has changed. She's constantly angry. And every time she's upset, she will bring up the affair and hold it against me. And we don't connect.
Yeah.
Is the message different? Because, they're the one that broke it. So are they stuck with it?
A lot of times, like the affair, somebody was starving and they found somebody to feed them. Most of the time, what we see, it's not, sure, you have these serial people that just go out and cheat and they do it for sport. But I feel like most people are in a very empty marriage and then accidentally find somebody. But if they wake up and say, oh my gosh, what am I doing? I don't want to blow up my family. I want to make this work. Then that's a really hard thing. Cause like the wife, sorry, I'm just pretending it's a guy.
We can pretend that.
Okay. So it's a pretend guy. And then the wife is like, at first it's just like, I just want him back. I just want him back. As soon as she knows that he's safely like staying in the marriage, then the anger kicks in. And she's holding this trump card. And it's like, at some point, like you're going to have to surrender that trump card. You cannot bring it up every time you get mad, every time you want something. And so, it's really hard. Like you have to give them time to process and to heal and to forgive. And that's usually done through building trust from the person that cheated.
Yeah.
That's one of the first signs I look for with somebody who's cheated. Is he willing to, like, here's my phone, here's my passwords. Like you can look at anything. I want you to be more involved with my life. That's a positive sign for moving forward.
One of the other key components that we teach all couples, but especially in this situation, is asking for forgiveness on a regular basis. I am so sorry. Will you please forgive me? The kickback is, I've already asked that. I've already said that. She said yes, but she doesn't. I understand that. But if it's a process for her, then it needs to be a process for you as well. And you're going to patiently request time and time again, because with each request, she is saying, yes, I will. And that's just another step towards healing. Now, I know some couples feel like, well, if I keep asking for, am I just reminding her of this? No, don't worry. She doesn't need any reminders.
She hasn't forgotten.
Yeah, exactly. So what she has forgotten is that you were sorry. And she's relating other bad habits that you have to this one bad habit. Will you please forgive me? Now, once again, if there's no relationship there and the person is unwilling, then it's time to move on. We had mentioned this word before. You had just said it as well. But when it comes to people changing, anybody, for us, the word is humility. We must be humble. I think that's one of the things that keeps us in our own great relationship. You asked, how do we keep these principles in mind? After being a pastor and going through a divorce, humility is not a hard one for me to grasp. You heard people say this before, the older I get, the less I know. Yep, that is so true. I love learning. We read a ton of books on a regular basis, and we barely have it figured out. Well, if we barely have it figured out, then I'm just going to come to this incredible woman and learn with her. Baby, help me understand this. Help me figure this out. Honey, I have an undeveloped thought. Can you walk with me through that? As opposed to, you only think about this and you do that and so for us, life change starts with humility, I think. How willing are you to dig deep and make changes and face your fears and your insecurities? Because extraordinary relationships, they're transparent. They share this kind of stuff. We know our fears. We know our weaknesses. We know where we struggle. And we're always exploring that.
Our chapter on verbal intimacy is really about trying to be fully known. How much do you know yourself and how much do you know your partner? And then to feel that distance and to be able to take a hard look in the mirror and say, is this an internal conflict? Because we get some people that are like, there's nothing wrong with my wife. She's not doing anything wrong. And it's like, she might be a little boring. And it's like, okay, but even that, you need a little more spice in your relationship. Yeah. Don't go find it somewhere else.
Right.
You can put it into your marriage. But yeah, I think that when anybody's unhappy in a relationship, if one person says there's a problem, there is a problem.
Yeah.
It's coming from you, then look at yourself and look at your spouse. But hopefully you have a spouse that says, hey, I'm willing to go in. If Roy said, hey, let's go to counseling, I'm like, all right, let's go in. I'm not afraid to have Dr. Neidham take a look under the hood and am I missing anything?
Yeah, I think that's the best relationship is two people who can both admit, yeah, I'm not perfect. I've got my stuff, you've got your stuff, but I really want to learn to do this love thing well, and I want to figure it out with you. And both of them are saying, yeah, let's figure it out together. And when they get it wrong, they both own their part of it. But it becomes this cooperative effort to build a strong relationship and learn to love well.
Right.
I know your website provides pretty clear direction for people that want different kinds of help.
I think most people find us very relatable. So royandamy.com.
Any place else that you'd want to direct people to? Well,
we are the founders of Aria Luxury Lubricants. And so if you go to arialuxlife.com, ARIALUXE life.com, you can see our product there. And the reason why we're able to promote our lubricant is because inside each box, there's a conversation card that walks you through verbal, emotional, physical, and spiritual intimacies. It sparks a conversation. You can get our book at arialuxlife.com as well. So we've got two places you can find us.
All right. Well, I'll provide the links to all of those in the episode notes so people can find you easily. I appreciate your time. I appreciate passion you guys have for helping relationships find a better place and individuals find their healing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we love your work and what you're doing and just want to support you however we can. So thanks for having us on.
Thank you.
Faith over failure.